Welcome to the Fit Dad Nation podcast, forging strong fathers and raising a stronger generation. It's time to get up or shut up with your host, Steve Roy.
Hey guys, this is Steve Roy, the host of the Fit Dad Nation podcast. Welcome to the show and thanks for listening. Before I introduce today's guests, and I've got a really fascinating guy with me today, I want to take a quick moment to invite all you dads who are listening right now and who are ready to start taking action on reclaiming your health and fitness and becoming better fathers and better men to join our online community. And the best way to do that is to apply to our private Facebook group, which can be found at fitdadnation.com/community. So my guest today is someone who showed up on my radar a while back, and his name is James Lawrence. He's more commonly known as the Iron Cowboy. And when I first heard his story, I thought I was reading it wrong. So James is known for what's called the 50-50-50, which is completing 50 Iron Man Triathlons in 50 days in 50 different states. And it's an insanely difficult thing even to imagine. So his story is nuts, and it's almost hard to believe that it's true only because the sheer magnitude of the work that he had to put in such a short amount of time and all the setbacks and struggles he had to overcome to get through it all. But, I've watched some of his talks, seen some of his interviews, and this man is definitely the real deal, and I'm super excited to hear his story. So, James, thank you so much for being here today.
Awesome, man. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, man. So I know you've shared this story a lot on a number of different shows, podcasts, TV shows, but maybe you could just tell us just a little bit about your backstory. I mean, how did you go from, I guess, a regular dad of 5 and a mortgage business owner to getting essentially into the Guinness Book of World Records for competing in Iron Man Triathlons? It's just a wild story. So I'd love to hear a little bit about your backstory.
Yeah, that's a big leap, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up wrestling, and so that's where my background was. I loved all sports. I come from a family where I only have sisters, and mom and dad aren't into sports, and so I was just kind of like I was on my own little island, and it was, but I just loved it, and so I did every sport that I could, and when you're in school, you're not exposed to triathlon. Very rarely swimming, especially in Canada. I mean, that's where I grew up, Canada, Calgary, Alberta. And so my background, I just gravitated towards wrestling, and you either wrestled or played hockey. And I wasn't great on skates, and so wrestling was the one. And you go through life, and there's no longer an outlet for wrestling. MMA wasn't around back then. I mean, it was its early days where you've got Tank Abbott fighting. Yep. Small karate dude, right? Yep. Like I want no part of that thing. Yeah, and so that it's kind of no real outlet, and you find your beautiful bride, and you get married, and you have a couple kids, and you're like, oh hey, what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to get a job in corporate America, do this, that, and the other, and that failed me. And we were just kind of sitting there. My wife's like, hey, let's go do this 4-mile fun run. And I was like, did you just say fun and run in the same sentence? And, that's kind of what kickstarted our journey. And my wife and I got into it together, and we did our first marathon, and just kind of tried to figure it out, and really fell in love with the community and the people, and just getting out there and being active. And just we both really enjoyed it, found triathlon, and just really dove into that. And then, you get into triathlon, and you hear about this Iron Man, and you're like, holy cow, that's the pinnacle. And, then we just really started to push boundaries of what was possible. And I started to have success in the sport. And I was just like, man, how far can we take this thing?
Man, so is it true? And I read this, that one of your first runs, you were running, and like a mom with pushing a stroller just blew past you, and you're like, that's not supposed to happen. Like, is that how it kind of played out? And you're like, this isn't right. Like, I need to step it up a bit.
That's exactly how it played out. A group of moms actually pushing their kids in strollers, like chitty chatting, like it's a church service get together, and I was just like, holy crap, I'm puffing and huffing, and this isn't right. And that's when my wife, she was like, you're pretty much pathetic. And that's when she signed us both up for the marathon. And she was like, you need to make a change in whatever's going on over there, because that was a dumpster fire. And so that her calling me pathetic and signing us up for a marathon and we had 5 months to prepare. And so we kind of just dove in online and grabbed a free couch to marathon program and followed it and went and did the marathon.
Man. So, I mean, you're a busy, I mean, at that point, so you've got 5 children, right? You're working, and I guess you had a mortgage business. Like, what prompts somebody that's settled into that? And I want to hear about your story about what happened to you in 2008. But I mean, what takes a man like that? And because most of us can resonate with that, right? We have kids, we're swamped with stress and bills and mortgages and everything else. And, obviously this is an extremely rare occurrence of someone that goes out of the box like this and does something so over the top. Was it driven by, I know you do a lot with charities, or was it driven by just a personal, let's just try to knock the ball out of the park? Or I'm curious to hear what got it really started for you like that.
Yeah. So initially when we first started doing tri, it was obviously for the love of the sport and camaraderie and getting out and relieving some stress and having an outlet. That's how most journeys start innocently. And when we lost everything in the economy, we used to own a mortgage company, and we share this same story with a lot of America. It just, I mean, everybody knows 2008 through 2011 rocked a lot of people, and I fell into that category, and they took everything away from us, our home, our possessions, and they stripped us. I remember standing in the street with my 5 kids, $7 in the bank account, and going, okay, what's the next step here? What do we do? And that's kind of like a huge wake up call. And I was like, my father-in-law was working for a charity at the time in our own quiet way. He did a lot of work in Africa. And I was like, man, I wonder if I could partner with the charity and do a lot of races and raise money. We called the project Try and Give a Damn, because we were building dams in Africa. And we're just plowing through this year and having success and raising money for the charity and getting a little bit of media. And I was like, man, we've done a lot of half Ironman 70.3s. I wonder what the record is. And we end up passing that record for a half Ironmans in a year. And I was like, man, that was pretty cool. I wonder what the full Ironman world record is. And then we did some research and found it. It was held by a guy in Belgium. And I'm like, I want to do that. I want to take down that record. And so we ended up plotting our course and trying to work with sponsors and figured it all out and partnered with the charity again. And 30 Ironmans, 11 countries. And then I finished that, and I was like, holy God, that was unbelievable. And the growth that we're experiencing and the impact that we're having. But then I kind of sat down and I'm like, man, that was incredible, but it wasn't the hardest thing I could do. And I kind of just had a conversation with myself, and I was like, what do I do when I'm backed into a corner, when I've reached a mental or physical breaking point? What do I do? Because I didn't feel that in 2012. It was challenging. Don't get me wrong, but I experienced incredible growth during those years, both mentally and physically. And so I was just like, man, what can I do? And if you're in the endurance running space, most people have heard of Dean Karnazes. And he, back in the day, 15, 20 years ago, he was really the first one to kind of pioneer these types of things. And he did 50 marathons in 50 days in 50 states. And I was like, wow, that'd be amazing if I could do that with Ironmans. And they were like, no, that's not possible. You need to stop right now. And I was like, no, it's possible, and I'm going to be the one to do it. And so that just kind of kickstarted the journey right after the 2012 world record. And I was like, this is what I'm doing. This is what's next. And then we just took 2.5 years from that moment to kind of conceptualize it, get physically, mentally, logistically ready for that type of journey. And man, we, even coming off the 2012 record and even giving the goal the respect that it deserved for 2.5 more years, just laser focused. I was so naive going into it, absolutely underestimating the compounding effect of an Ironman a day, beyond 5. Yeah, 5 through 40, 5 through 50 is staggering. I mean, it's just, there's no words in the English dictionary to describe the compounding and fatigue effect of an Ironman every day.
I can't even imagine. I mean, so for those that don't know what that is, it's what, a 2.4 mile swim, 112 miles on the bike, and then a full marathon, 26.2 miles.
Yeah. So Dean did just the marathon every day. And I was like, yeah, I think it's a great idea. Let's swim 2.4 miles and bike 112 before the greatest endurance feat that's been done to this date. And I'm like, that's a great idea. Let's do that.
Yeah, before I get into the questions that I have, the obvious questions like how did you not drown? What did you do from the time that your business fell apart and the time you ended up going on the road full time in 2015? I know you were running with charities, but how are you supporting 5 kids and a wife? Like, how are you getting through all of that? I would imagine not just from running, charity races in Africa.
Yeah, no, I did such a deep dive with the sport and just educated myself and really fell into all the pits that you could fall in and trying to figure out how to train yourself and be effective. That people around me were like, hey man, how are you getting so fast? How are you doing this? How are you not getting injured? And so I just started coaching a handful of people and they were willing to pay me for it. And then I was like, oh man, maybe I could do this as a business. And so I launched kind of a full training business. Just locally, I was working at my peak. I was working with 40 athletes, which was enough to put food on the table. But with everything that we do, you have to get creative. When you don't have a lot of money, we actually moved out of an apartment or a small house we were renting, and we moved into a home with a friend of mine's mother, and she was suffering from Alzheimer's, and they needed an in-home care. And we were like, great, we'll trade you rent and utilities to care for your mom. And he was like, perfect, that's exactly what we're looking for. And so, a lot of people aren't willing to do something like that in order to get themselves closer to a dream. But it was tough. But my wife and I were like, look, this is a great opportunity for us to lower our overhead and plan for the 50. And so we were looking for unique and creative ways and different things that we would do as a family in order to all get to this goal closer and quicker. And that was one of the ways we were creative. We said, okay, my coaching income will cover, insurance and food and all these things and the kids in school, and we're comfortable. But how do we minimize that? And okay, let's trade for rents. And that's one of the things we did to be creative and get us down that path. A lot of people aren't willing to do stuff like that.
I was just thinking that. I don't know too many people that would sacrifice all that. And it's almost like swallowing your pride and just taking a couple steps back, because you have such a vision. And that's another thing that a lot of guys don't have, right? They don't have that vision of, I want X and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get X. It's, I've got a pretty good job. It's pretty cushy. I make, decent money and commute's not too bad and the insurance is good. So I'll just grind that out for the next 30 to 40 years. I'll retire at 65, play a little golf, right? I despise that model, but that's how most of us live. So it's really inspiring to hear that you just had this vision. And more importantly, like it sounds like it's the 100% support of your wife, which is also something that isn't as common as we would like, even in, quote unquote, healthy marriages. I mean, to have a woman there saying, yes, 100%, let's do this. We'll do whatever we have to do to make this happen. Let's go. And I'm there for you.
Well, I think it's more common than you think. For example, how many people do you know where the wife or the husband has put the spouse through medical school or through business college or through whatever? I mean, you see that all the time. This was no different. We looked at this 4 years, like, hey, we're going to take a risk. This is going to be our education in this world of sponsorships and fundraising and branding and race series and all these things. And so we were like, okay, we could spend $100,000 and go to school and get an education, or we can go out there and pick a field and really deep dive into it. And my wife and I just sat down and said, great, we're going to sacrifice X over the next period of time in order to accomplish, what we want to do. And we're so grateful that it worked out for us. I mean, we've got a very thriving business now, and a very stable life. But we looked at it as no different than a spouse that's supporting their spouse in going to school or university or college, right?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Although, when you look at it from that point of view, if you send your spouse to medical school, there's a 99% chance they're going to have a career when they come out of it. For you, you could have failed, you could have gotten hurt, you could have crashed and burned, you could have finished 3 of them and quit. I mean, that's a leap of faith, right? Because then who's going to, you've lost the credibility of the 50, whatever your goal was, right? You're just a dude that started out strong and then just kind of faded away. Right, that was the risk, right?
Well, for sure, and there's actually the beauty in the whole thing is how all in are you on your journey? What does the finish line look for you? Are you willing to see things through to the end? Are you willing to go that deep into something and not walk away from it? So like people impress me not when they're in like a life or death situation and they do an unbelievable thing. It's like when you're in a situation and you're 30 Ironmans into it and you're like, yeah, I absolutely, I can just go home today. But you choose not to, right? That's the difference. And at any moment, and any given moment of that journey, I could have, you know what, boys, let's turn around. We're going home. 30 is good enough, right? But I knew that 30 would have given that result that you just said is, okay, we're back to the drawing board. We've lost the last decade, of hard work and sacrifice. And so when you're on a journey, when it's significant, when it's big, when it's meaningful, when it's impactful, that end reward needs to be worth it, and you have to go all in. There's no other option. It's a matter of figuring out at that point, and that's where people miss out on it. They're so close, and they're like, this just isn't going to do it, right?
Yeah, and something that you had said. You said you stopped chasing society's dreams and went after yours, and because, I mean, so many people live like that, right? I mean, we do what people expect us to do and society's norms. And here you are, you were in your 30s, you've got a big family, and you absolutely went for broke with no guarantee, not even close, that this would turn into a thriving business and a book and, speaking all over the world. I mean, I'm sure you weren't even thinking that it was going to be that big.
No, but there's no guarantees with anything, right? You could go through medical school and just you become a terrible doctor, right? And the practice doesn't work out, or this and that, or your connections, or the death. And I mean, there's just no guarantees in any of it. I would 100 times out of 100, I'd rather bet on me because I bet on safe, and I opened up a mortgage company, and the system failed me, right? The economy crashed, and that had nothing to do with me, and we were stripped of everything. And here's what's interesting is you hear guys like me and success stories, and we say, why are you miserable in the job that you have? It's easy to say that, right? And it's easy to say, hey, go out and do this and chase your dreams and live your passions. It's not easy. It's super hard. And I get a lot of people that contact me almost on a daily basis. Hey, this is what I want to do. I want to chase my dreams. I want to do this. I want to do that. Now, I'm not crushing on anybody's dreams right now, but here's my number one rule above anything else. Don't quit your day job. And what I mean by that is you have to chase your dreams at both ends of the candle. And you've got to sacrifice things. People don't realize that for the 2.5 years leading up to the 50, I got 4 hours of sleep a night. I get 8 or 9 now, but I was willing to sacrifice that during the time because I knew, look, I got to train, I got to do this, but I got to put food on the table. And I was hanging cabinets at construction sites in the middle of the night, and I was doing everything I could to chase my dream. But I didn't quit my day job. I was still coaching. I was still putting food on the table. I was doing all these things. I was scrappy. And people are like, no, I did it. I took the leap. I quit everything, and I'm going to start an online store. And I'm like, dude, you realize that takes 5 years, right? Now, what are you going to do the next 5 years? So your dreams need to be well. They need to be alive. They need to be huge. They need to challenge you. They need to scare the hell out of you. But don't quit your day job because that's what puts food on the table. That's what makes this cog keep turning. The moment your dream replaces the income from your day job, then you can walk away from it. But there's guys out there, I mean, yeah, dive in 2 feet, but you have to sacrifice something. You got to burn that candle at both ends in order to make it happen. You can't just, I mean, there's very few people that I've ever seen that have quit everything to go all in. You've got to have not a backup plan, but you got to be intelligent. You can't just walk away.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the misnomers out there. I mean, you hear so many of these lifestyle entrepreneur bloggers saying, quit your day job and no time and recreate your income online. And I've been doing this full time 4.5 years, and it is far from easy. It's been a struggle the entire way, just to put food on the table and take care of my kids. I mean, it's a difficult thing to do. So you mentioned something interesting, and you said it came down to you were a scrappy guy. And when I you see a lot of people, and men specifically, because this is a show for dads, we don't see that a lot. The scrap, the grit, to go after something like that and really sacrifice. I don't know anybody that probably would do what you did, right? Spend 8, 10, 12 hours a day working in a coaching job and then go out in the middle of the night, start hanging cabinets in a construction site in the dark, only getting a few hours sleep, right? It just doesn't really happen that often. I mean, I don't know too many guys or any really that would do that, myself included.
And that's the secret sauce, though.
Yeah.
And it's people contact me all the time. Hey, dude, I'm inspired. I saw this story. I watched Kona. I want to do an Ironman. Will you coach me to do it? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And then I lay out the game plan, the hours required, the sacrifice, the time, the money, all of it. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm good. I'm out.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. And so I've learned really quick that a lot of people have a lot of dreams. A lot of people have a lot of vision. They lack the ability to show up every day and do what it takes. I love Conor McGregor. I'm a huge fight fan.
Uh-huh.
And, that dude has vision, but you know what else he has? The ability to show up every single day and outwork everybody in the industry. That guy said, you're not looking at talent, you're looking at obsession. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that people don't have right now is they lack obsession. They lack the respect that it takes, the time frame that it takes to achieve a goal. I'm so tired of people contacting, us and other people and posting on social media, this is my dream and whatnot, and then they disappear in a week because it was too hard. I'm so tired of this mentality, and I critique me all you want, audience or whatever. I really don't care at this point, because I've been on the battlefield and I've put in the work and I've showed what a decade or more takes to achieve something and chase a dream and show up every day. And so, you want to be mentored, you surround yourself with mentors, but you have to be willing to put on your armor and show up and go to battle.
Well said. It kind of reminds me of what you just said. A book I recently read called "Living with a Seal." It's Jesse Itzler. I don't know if you ever read that. David Goggins was the seal he lived with, but it was he brought him in and he did whatever he said, and he went through hell. I mean, that just even reading the book, I'm sweating like a pig reading it, thinking about all the stuff he's going through, and so when you say, when I tell these people what they need to do to get out of their comfort zones and start pursuing what they really say they want, 9 out of 10 are going to back out. Whoa. That's just, that's crossing the line. I can't do that. But that 1% that says, you know what, let's do it. This is the kind of stuff that happens, right? I mean, now you're a household name. I mean, you're everywhere on the internet, and you've probably got more clients than, you're turning down clients left and right. And, you've got more resources than you know what to do with, but came from that.
We're in a great position where we have opportunity, and that's the benefit and payoff of hard work and showing up. And it's certainly not still easy today. I mean, we get up and grind every single day. I mean, we were up with the wingmen and 5 o'clock, we're in the gym getting it done because we've got some big goals coming up physically and mentally, and we got to get that work done because we got to get out here and promote the brand and get the coaching done and work with people. And I just got back from speaking last week at Minnesota Vikings and Procter & Gamble and Google, and man, what a cool experience to be able to do that. And it's so much fun, and I'm absolutely blessed. But you know what? One of my favorite quotes, and I know this show's about family, is that there's no success outside the home that'll ever compensate for failure inside your home. And that's how I end all my presentations on stage. And as if you're so out of balance that your relationships and with your spouse and your children are being affected, then it's truly not worth it. There's no paycheck worth that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that quote. And it sounds like, I mean, you, your wife, your 5 kids, and then a small team of people jumped in an RV, right, in 2015 and just went for it, right? And you had this team of people that was helping you obviously get through this because of all the different things that had to be done and food and all. I mean, I would imagine it was a logistical nightmare for them. And you put in the work, but I would imagine that it was set for some kind of amazing experience for your family that your kids will never obviously forget.
Yeah, for sure. I say this all the time as well, that nothing great is ever accomplished on our own. And it is not possible. It isn't possible to do 50 Ironmans in 50 days without a support team, a crew. I mean, they got to drive you through the night and sourcing 12,000 calories and getting us from place to place, and the mechanical issues and the logistics. And I mean, you just can't even imagine the things are planned for the things that we had to dealt with. I could do it a lot better the second time.
Oh, you can do it again now? You can do 100, 100, 100?
Man, that's been put on the table.
Are you serious?
Yeah, no, not for me wanting to do it, but people saying, "Hey, is that what's next?" And I to be honest, I would consider it if somebody said, "Hey, you complete this, and there's $1 million check waiting for you."
I would think more like 10 million.
I'd do it for $1 million.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I know what it would take. 10 million would be great. But yeah, if anybody's listening and wants to bet against me, just toss $1 million in the ring and I'll go do 100.
Man, that's all right. For those listening, those guys that have lots of money to throw around, that's a pretty good challenge there. But never bet against the Iron Cowboy. That's
I tell you what, you throw the money up there, and if I don't do it, it'll go to charity. If I do it, I'll split it with the charity.
Interesting. I like that.
Put that on there. Let's put that line on Vegas.
Man,
and that's what we should do. Is we should start like a GoFundMe, bet against the Cowboy. And,
I do like that.
And have somebody run the campaign. We raise the money. As soon as it hits $1 million, I start, and if I make it, I get the money.
You might want to consult your wife on this before you commit to this. But yeah, I love the idea. Bet against the cowboy.com. There it is.
Trust me, she wants $1 million. and she wouldn't bet against me because she knows I'll damn well do it.
And how old are you now?
42. Bring it.
Holy God. I'm trying to wrap my head around one of these.
Let's go do 100.
Put me out for a month.
Let's go.
I got more injuries than you would believe. I'm sure you went through all kinds of tears and ligament issues, and I mean, I'm just reading a list here of stuff like, blisters, nerve damage, blood clot scares. I know you crashed on your bike and got jacked up because you were riding 25, 30 miles an hour and you just fell asleep.
When I was riding my bike?
Yeah.
Yeah, day 18, man. Exhaustion caught up with me. I lost concentration for 2 seconds, and bam, next thing I know, I'm on the ground and nursing some pretty serious injuries.
So what goes through your mind? I know you've answered this question a million times, but I think I heard you say after day 4 or 5, you're like, oh shit, but what goes through your mind on day, 24, 32, when you're like, this just flat out sucks. I mean, this is just the worst possible thing I could be doing, but yet you did it day after day after day after day. Yeah.
So a couple of things that played to our advantage. Mentally, I knew there was a finish line, right? There was a definite finish line. So I could start to process smaller numbers. 1 through 5, you're super excited. You're trying to figure it out. The team is lost. I mean, there's just so much chaos that it's like, you don't know what's going on. So that time goes by pretty quick. 10 through 25 is probably your most difficult stretch. Not halfway. You're dealing with a ton. Your body's learning how to shift and adapt. That's when people quit, right? 10 through 25. If you haven't already quit before 10, shit. And 10 through 25 is that adaptation phase. That's when you're climbing the steepest part of the mountain. That's when your body's saying, nah, not today. That's when your mind's saying, no, you're done. This isn't worth it, right? Those internal dialogue and that conversation that we have with ourselves. So 10 through 25. And then once you turn 25, you're like, okay, I can count down. And then, but there comes that moment, and I had it on day 30. It was what I asked for, right? What do I do when I reach my mental, physical limits? And for me, day 30, it was that conversation. It was like, why? What are you doing? Why are you doing this? All the reasons. Everybody says, hey, dude, what's your why? What's your purpose? What's your vision? And most people are like, you know what my why is? It's this. And that person's going to fail. And you're like, why? Well, how are they going to fail? They have their why. And if you're on a journey and it's big enough, if it has enough significance, I'm telling you right now, your one why isn't going to be enough. And you're going to be laying there on the side of the road thinking of your why, and you're going to go, yeah, you're right, it's not enough. You need to have a dozen, 2 dozen, a bag full of whys, because there's going to be that moment where you're going to go, you know what, that's not enough. Let me think of another one. Yeah, that's not enough. Let me put those together. Yeah, still not enough. Yeah, I don't have enough to get back on my bike and do 20 more Ironmans. And then it's not a why, it's a purpose, it's a passion. Conor McGregor, you're not looking at talent, you're looking at obsession. What's your obsession? What's it going to take for you to get back on your bike and do 20 more Ironmans? It's not your one damn why, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, man. So, you're going through this. I mean, you're putting 100% of everything you've got into this every day, right? You're sleeping 4 hours a night, 15 hours on average, right? You're going through these per day, about at 15 hours. Is that what I heard? So, I mean, like, yeah, actually, I read that literally, like, the second you sat down, if you weren't being engaged with, it was lights out, right? I mean, like, 2 seconds
I was sleeping,
going.
Yeah, 2 to 3 seconds after. That's why I fell asleep on the bike.
Yeah.
If I wasn't, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I woke up with food and drink all over me because I was, if I laid down and someone started to work on me, I'd be trying to eat because we had to accomplish so much in a short period of time while I was awake, right? And we have so many funny pictures from the 50 where a crewman or me is just like, you're laying down and your phone is just on your face because you're in the middle of sending a message or strategizing or doing something, and you literally fell asleep your phone is sitting on your face, and you just don't care, and you're out cold. I've got food all over. I mean, we've got some great pictures. But yeah, I mean, not just me. I mean, we got. I mean, so coming off the 30, I was like, yeah, we're gonna get so much support. We're gonna get corporate sponsors. This thing's gonna be badass. It's gonna be amazing. And I got no, we can't do that. Hey, no, man, it's amazing. No, we can't. And I'm like, why? Why can't you guys do this? This is gonna be incredible. And they're like, well, tell you why. They're like, we can't afford to associate ourselves with a failure. And I said, what? I said, what? They said, yeah, you're not gonna complete it, and although we'll probably get what we want out of 20 or 30 that you make it, we just can't afford market-wise to associate ourselves with a failure. And I'm like, look, guys, I just came off 2 world records. I'm in the top shape of my life. I'm ready. Let's go. And so we went in there and had to completely bootstrap this because it was so over the top at the time that they just couldn't conceptualize it. It just wasn't possible. And so these 2 wingmen, Casey and Aaron, I absolutely love these guys. They are the epitome of teamwork and sacrifice and going all in and doing what it takes. And these 2 guys worked for me all day, whatever it took, food, logistics, planning, mechanical. And then they also drove me through the night to the next state. And so you talk about 2 guys that had nothing to gain other than the goal. They're a beautiful example. You know what? Not one time did I hear these guys say, you know what, James, we're tired. Can we take a second? Instead, they showed up every single day and they said, hey, James, what else can we do today, man? What can we do? It's such a rare piece of humanity that someone's going to say at the brink of exhaustion, going, hey man, what else can we do, man? Are we there? No, we're not there. What else can we do? And I just have the utmost respect for these 2 guys and my wife and my kids who showed up every single day and didn't complain.
Wow, man. I mean, did your kids ever get worried? I mean, was there ever a time where your kids how old is the youngest right now? Or were they?
During the time he was 5.
Okay.
Yeah, 5.5.
So he's at any point, is he like freaking out because daddy's in such banged up shape, and you're out and like you've got bandages all over you and you got some cuts and bruises, and it could be scary for a kid or more, maybe a few of your kids to be like, what the hell is going on with dad, man? He looks like he's about to die.
Yeah, I think kids are a product of their environments, and they understand hard work and they understand getting it done. And to them, it really wasn't that out of the ordinary. I mean, they've seen me do 50 Ironmans and 50 half Ironmans and all these things beforehand. And it's not like one day I just out of the blue, hey, I'm gonna tackle this that I've never done. I had a lot of experience, and that's another thing that I see a lot is people don't respect or give the goal the time frame that it deserves. They don't take the appropriate steps or measures to accomplish the big goal. There was a guy after I did the 50, he was like, man, I'm inspired. I'm going to go do 100. Well, dude, he did 8 or 6 or 4. I don't know. And then there was a girl, I'm going to do 50. I'm going to duplicate it. She did 2.5. And so it's like, look, guys, on the surface, it may look easy or but you've got to put in the work. I was coming off of a year where I did 30 Ironmans, which at the time was a world record. And so I spring bolted off of that experience and still put in 2.5 years worth of work. I didn't think I was ready. And so it's great to have big goals, but you have to respect the time, the distance, all of it. It's just, you gotta take your knocks.
Wow. So did any company take you up and say, you know what, this guy's, I hear it in his voice, this guy is going to do it? Or did everybody say, you know what, nah?
No, one company. One company, Young Living Essential Oils out of Utah. I've been using their products and therapeutic stuff since 1994. And I was like, guys, and it was interesting. Gary Young, he just passed away this last year, but he was the founder of Young Living, and just an absolute visionary. And I sat down in his office and I was like, Gary, I've been on your stuff. It's completely changed my life. And he goes, I get it. I'll help you. And so they were the only people only company that gave us financial support. That was a huge piece of the puzzle that allowed us to get out there on the road and take the time we really needed to prepare leading up to it. A combination of their support and my coaching and grit and showing up, that's really what catapulted us to be able to do it, right? So there's one company. Yeah.
Wow. So how many have come out of the woodwork since when you finished? Was Nike and ASICS calling you and be like, hey, let's talk?
Yeah, I've got boxes in my office right now that I haven't even opened, to people that send me stuff and want to try their product and talk about it on social media. But I don't talk about anything on social media that I haven't used for a long time. I'm huge about just loyalty to people that believed in me early. Like I run in Ultra shoes. They're run shoe specific. They're not a Nike. They're not a Adidas, all these other brands, and Reebok. And I've had conversations with those companies, and I was just like, you know what, I've got to stay true and loyal to the shoe that I've run, all the world records in the 50. And so I took less money, because I was committed to those that believed in me early on.
Man, I love that. So you're like Forrest Gump, right? You're just running through town and people are flocking around you, following you.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. So is it tempting? And I know, you seem like a very genuine guy, humble guy. I mean, is it tempting at all when, like a Nike or an Under Armour comes and says, hey, we're going to give you $500,000 to wear our shoes for a week or whatever it is, and you're like, no, I'm not going to do that. I mean, I would imagine that has come up, something like that, some scenario like that.
Yeah, it is tough. Those are hard conversations. Mm-hmm. And I believe we're all loyal to a certain point to a brand. I'd like to think that I would be eternally loyal, but at the end of the day, it's about our family, and there's always a new chapter and a new adventure, and sometimes relationships come to an end. But I'll try to be as loyal as I can for as long as I can, for where it makes sense.
Yeah, because you're not a sales guy. Like, I've looked at YouTube channel and your blog, and you're not a salesy, flashy guy. It's just like everyday pics and sharing what you're doing. I think we need more of that.
I'm super simple. I'll post something wearing that, and I'll get a message. Hey, do do you sell that? And I'm like, oh yeah, I've got some. And like, okay, we'd love to buy one. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I should really post about this kind of stuff.
Yep.
But I just don't, and I probably should, because I mean, I did a post the other day with my dog wearing an Iron Cowboy hat, and I got like 10 messages. Hey, can we buy that hat? And I was like, really? Yeah, I've got him here in a box. I should probably put him up online somewhere.
Yep. I mean, I went to your site, and you can't even order your clothes because everything's sold out. All your hats, your shirts, everything.
Yeah, we're in the process, because there's just people want it, and I love it. It's fun. So we're in the process. So in January, we're going to be launching the new store. Right now, everything is up on ironcowboystore.com, and so we're in the process of. I finally had to hire a company to go, look, let's clean everything up and bring all the websites together. Just because you're right. I am simple, and I don't think in these terms, but the reality of the situation is, we did something batshit crazy. And we did something that is having an impact on people. There's a reason that we've been invited out to speak in 48 countries and done no marketing and advertising. There's a reason why we haven't even hit a tipping point yet. And people are just craving this type of message. Here's the reality of what I've learned and experienced, that traveling through 48 countries over the last couple of years, we're all human beings. And it's different cultures, yes, but we're all people. And we all want to be validated. We all want to be loved. And we're all stuck and struggling. And I have found that we are limiting ourselves. We're getting in our own damn way. And we're comparing ourselves against somebody else's standard of excellence. And I'm trying to help people realize that you've got to create your own lane. You've got to believe in you. You've got to go all in. And when that happens, now we're going to start to see things get blown out of the water and barriers lifted. But from my experience, people are stuck, and our story is helping people open up their minds and get back in the game. And that's a really cool experience to have.
Yeah, I love that. So other than traveling the world speaking, how else are you spending your time now? I mean, you probably have a lot of different, balls in the air, a lot of projects, business opportunities, and obviously you do a lot of shows like this.
One of the things I had to learn was to say no. We were so broke, and people were just offering stuff, and I would take anything. And now I have to be really careful what I say yes and no to, and not be taken advantage of, and this and that. But opportunity is great right now. We're building a lot of cool tools to help people get unstuck. We're going to have an entire Iron Grit is what we're calling it, and it's going to be a mental training program. So that's going to launch in the new year. IronGrit.com. We currently have our physical coaching platform up, TeamIronCowboy.com. We offer all types of coaching on there for the physical side of stuff. We've got a second documentary in the works. First documentary is on Amazon Prime, but I think this is the last week, so I don't know when this is going to drop. But I think Apple just bought it, and so they're going to be moving it over to Apple TV. There's just a lot of opportunity. It's a lot of fun. But for me, I just love spending as much time as I can with my family. And a lot of people don't know this, but I absolutely love golf. And I just came home from Kansas yesterday. I did my last event of the year. And on Sunday, I fly out with a group of some of my best friends, and we're headed to Oregon, to Bandon Dunes, for a 5-day golf trip. So I'm pretty excited to wind down my year. And then I always take December off and just spend some. I love the holidays. I love Christmas, especially with the kids. And so I always take December off, and we just relax and have some fun, build some gingerbread houses, and just kind of unwind, right?
Yeah. Wow. What an amazing story, man. So what's the documentary on Amazon Prime called? Because I do have that and I want to watch it.
Yeah, and you're gonna want to watch it today. Yeah. It's called The Story of the 50 or The Iron Cowboy. Either one will bring it up. I was at the post office this morning, and I ran into the producer of it, and she was like, "Yeah, we just finalized the paperwork. It's coming down, in the next few days, and then they're moving it over to a new distribution channel. I think it's Apple." So that's really cool for us. But yeah, right now, today, it's on Amazon Prime.
Huh, okay. All right. And then you have a book, Redefine Impossible.
Yeah, Redefine Impossible, man. that was a tough book for me to write. I hired a ghostwriter and just did so many interviews. And we had to start it immediately after the 50. And so because it was, just such an emotional journey, it was hard, but it kind of breaks down, it's kind of a cross between the 50 and an autobiography, how we got to that point in our lives. So every other chapter is about the 50 and every other chapter is about our family and my history and past and struggles and things that we went. So it's an entrepreneur / adventure book. And so it's a lot of fun. It is on Amazon. Redefining Impossible. If you order it from Amazon, you're just going to get a book from Amazon. If you order it from ironcowboy.com, then I'll sign it. That directly comes to me. It comes out of my stock here at my house, and I take the time and I sign all of those. So if you want to go through Amazon, great. If you want to go through my website, great.
And you make a lot more money when you order through you, right? Amazon gives you a little piece of the pie.
Amazon takes a little piece of it,
yeah.
But I'm not worried about that. We're just worried about getting the book out there and having people read the story and impact. And what's great is it's not a book about triathlon. It's a book about, I've had a lot of messages come in where people are like, man, I had no idea what to expect, and I'm not an athlete, and I was struggling with abuse or alcoholism or this and that, and they're like, reading your story and understanding that the next step isn't going to kill me has really resonated with me, and it's helped me get through a very difficult time. And so that's so great for us to hear stories like that we've branched out beyond triathlon and beyond that, and we're impacting people that are struggling with everyday life. And it just goes back to my point that people are stuck, and that is our entire message about having iron grit and the ability to show up every single day, and that's just what's missing in today's society.
Man, I couldn't agree more. This has been awesome. I mean, I'm feeling inspired myself here, and man,
right?
Yeah, man. If I could just get one of those cowboy hats, would be all set.
Right. I'm wearing my belt buckle now.
What's that?
I'm wearing my belt buckle right now.
Nice. So, as far as anywhere else, is there anywhere else you want to mention that people can find out more about you?
Yeah, you know what? Follow me on social media. Iron Cowboy James is my Instagram handle. I do a lot of stories on there, kind of keep up with me. And then Facebook is Iron Cowboy. Those are my two big platforms that I work with. Anybody interested in having me come be a keynote speaker, you won't be disappointed. I promise you that. You can reach out to me. My email, I give out my personal email, james@ironcowboy.com. And feel free to reach out to me for any requests, anything that anybody wants. I answer all my social media myself. I answer all my emails myself. I hope to never be that big of a deal that I have to hire that out. So I like to keep everything personal, and I like to talk to the people. So it's great.
Awesome, man. This has been amazing, and I appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll keep in touch.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, if you want more information, check out the Fit Dad Basecamp group on Facebook. And don't forget to stop by fitdadnation.com. Until next time, keep kicking ass and taking the next step. You can do this, Dad.